Minister Nusrat Ghani.
Mr. Speaker, this government is committed to improving...
It was a sparsely attended Commons 4 years ago that witnessed the first female Muslim minister to speak at the dispatch box. An historic moment for Nusrat Ghani. But 2 years later, she herself was history, removed in a mini reshuffle, a sacking she now claims was due to her religion. She told the Sunday Times that in a meeting with the whips, they said her Muslimness was raised as an issue, and she was making colleagues feel uncomfortable. Last night, the man who allegedly said all this named himself Chief Whip Mark Spencer. In a Twitter thread he initially deleted and then reposted, he said the accusations were completely false and defamatory. Number 10 said that Boris Johnson had met with Ghani in 2020 to discuss her claims, and that he then wrote to her soon after suggesting she launch a formal complaint. But Ghani responded by saying the Prime Minister told her to use the internal party complaint process, and she had said that wasn't appropriate as this had happened on government business.
Amongst the MPs and ministers, I wouldn't say that they were displaying anti-Muslim attitudes so much as relatively widespread ignorance about Islam.
And Boris Johnson appears to be on the ropes at the moment. Is the timing of this story politically motivated? It
wouldn't surprise me to find that people are choosing to speak now when they weren't choosing to speak before because Mr. Johnson is wounded and possibly on his way out. I can understand Nusrat Ghani not wanting to make a formal complaint several years ago when the incident happened because she has a career as a Conservative MP. It takes a lot to make people speak out.
And there were more accusations today about the way this government operates. Christian Wakeford, after defecting to Labour last week, revealed that it was the former Education Secretary and ex-Chief Whip, Gavin Williamson, who threatened to pull funding from a school in Wakeford's constituency if he voted against the government. Williamson said he didn't recall such a conversation, one he might describe as the sharpened carrot approach.
Indeed, we take a carrot and stick approach. Personally, I don't much like the stick, but it is amazing what can be achieved with a sharpened carrot.
This all follows from William Ragg's allegation of blackmail by the government whips, with Ragg due to meet with the police this week. And there are reports that Sue Gray, who's investigating lockdown parties, is also in contact with the Met. Her scope is widening with reports that the Prime Minister's wife held gatherings in the number 10 flat. So we're potentially looking at work events upstairs, downstairs, in the basement and round the back garden during the 3 lockdowns.
The full findings are going to be made public. That's the commitment that's been made, and it's important for public confidence in the decision making and also just for all of these issues that have been raised, for there to be clear answers to them.
The concern for Boris Johnson is the answers are in fact too clear, and it forces enough MPs to trigger a vote of no confidence and possibly end his time in office.
Well, a little earlier I spoke to the Conservative peer Lord Sheikh, who's the founder and president of the Muslim Conservative Forum. I asked him what was his initial reaction to the allegations made by Nusrat Ghani.
I've known Nusrat Ghani for nearly 9 years. She has been a member of the Conservative Muslim Forum. She has been a supporter of the forum. And I have found Nusrat to be an articulate, bright and caring person. And I think she's an honest person. I don't think she's a mischief maker. Now, you have 2 scenarios. You have A saying something, B saying something. I believe we need to get to the bottom of it. We need to establish what is right and what is not right. And the way to do this is to undertake an investigation. And I believe the investigation must be carried out by an independent person.
What about the timing of how this has become public? I mean, there are some who think this is all a plot against Boris Johnson, and MPs who are critical of Boris Johnson are now using everything they've got against him.
Well, there are stories going on, but I think with regard to this particular issue, then of course it needs investigation. And I also believe something else needs to be done. We are hearing stories about bullying, intimidation of parliamentarians by the whips. Let's look at the behavior of these whips as well.
I mean, you clearly believe that the Conservative Party has a wider problem with Islamophobia. So it is odd that all of a sudden we've got people clutching their pearls and saying they're very shocked about what has allegedly happened to Nusrat Ghani.
With regard to Islamophobia, I don't think it's institutional. I believe that some members of the party have behaved badly. They perhaps need education. They perhaps need training. And if something goes wrong, you need to investigate and take remedial action.
What about the Prime Minister's role in all this? Because Nusrat Ghani says she spoke to the Prime Minister and he told her he couldn't get involved and she should use the Conservative Party's complaint process.
Yes, but then on the other hand, she says that she was told on several occasions, shut up. She was muzzled because she was told she would be ostracized. Her career would be in jeopardy. So presumably, she didn't want to take it any further. But I admire her courage.
But you still have confidence in Boris Johnson because many of your colleagues don't.
Well, I have confidence in his capability, undoubtedly. But the question is, were rules broken? If rules were broken, what needs to be done? I mean, for example, a very close member of my family was dying and her family could not go and see her. And that did distress the family, caused them a lot of worry. Now, people have been through ordeals. People have, incidents like what I'm quoting, other people have suffered. And I think we need to see what really, really happened.
OK, Lord Sheikh, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks very much for having me on.